Hi, I'm Kat and I play red. We've been playing a lot of Ark Nova here. I'm sure a lot of you guys have. Today we're going to look at a zoo game, but a different zoo game, not that zoo game. This would be a great one if you've got kids that are interested because of Ark Nova. We're going to have a look at Zookeepers. Now, this is a Portuguese game. It's produced by Cards Lab and designed by Pedro Gordolina. Let's have a look at it. In Zookeepers, you will manage a zoo, hire zookeepers and save endangered species. However, the species that will give you the most points are obviously the hardest to save. When a player saves enough species, the game will end and the player with the most points wins. You'll start the game with a random level 1 zookeeper, which you can pop on either side of your board. These guys can save any type of species. The rest of the level 1 keepers go back into the box. There are several different variants of the game, which we'll talk about at the end. But for now, we're going to look at the fast mode. Shuffle up the level 2 and 3 zookeepers to form a deck and deal 1 to each player who puts it into their other zookeeper house. Shuffle all the species cards and place the top 6 out in a display. Each player will start with 4 red, 4 green and 3 white cubes. Place your marker on the 0 on your board. This is the number of species that you're going to save over the course of the game. During your turn, you will take just 1 action, then play will pass to the next player. There are 4 actions you can choose from in your turn. Save species, collect resources, discard or put species into quarantine, or manage your zookeepers. Firstly, let's have a look at saving species. You can save a species either from the display or from one of the quarantine zones on your board. Pay the resource cubes as shown on the card, put those back in the bag and take the species. So let's have a quick look. What can we do? We can do this one. We can do the Persian leopard. Obviously, it's a big cat. So if I were to pay 4 red and 2 white, I can save the Persian leopard and he will go underneath one of my zookeepers. Now, this guy here requires a specific type of animal. This guy doesn't fulfill that condition, so he needs to go under my level 1 zookeeper, who's a generic keeper who can save everything. A zookeeper is considered completed when there are 3 species underneath him that match his objective. So I've saved 1 species, I move my marker down, and then we're going to refill the display. You can collect resources. Oh, these need to go back in the bag. You can collect a number of resources from the bag equal to the number of species you've saved. So I've only saved 1 so far, so I'd only get to take 1 cube at random from the bag. Let's have a look. 1 red. Simple. If you have more than 12 cubes at the end of your turn or more than 5 white cubes, you must discard down. The third action is discard or put species in quarantine. For this action, you can move up to 2 species cards. You can either discard cards from the display or move species into your quarantine zones. You can do 2 actions with this. You could discard 2 of these or take 2 or 1 and 1. Now looking at this, there's a lot of 1 point cards, which is a bit rubbish. So I'm going to discard that, and that's half the action. And I can then choose to put something into quarantine. What do I like the look of? I mean, the Burmese python is worth 3 points, but he can't go here. I might take the rhinoceros. Now, he's a savannah. He can go into that spot there and refill the display. So it's kind of 2 actions, but you get to choose what you want to do. And lastly, the 4th action you can do is to manage your zookeepers. So you can replace one of your zookeepers with the top card from the deck. If I were to discard this one, I'd lose that species under him. So really, you want to swap out stuff that's not doing you any favours. Now, there aren't many matching symbols for Paco the zookeeper here, so I'm going to discard him to the bottom of the deck and bring out a new one. So that is your 4 actions. In the fast mode, which I've shown you here, you will play until someone saves 6 species. Finish the round and then add your points. So let's have a look at some stuff we can do before we talk about final scoring. So, do you know, I might go for the really super fast option. I'm going to save this long-billed Corello, even though I hate birds. Play a green cube, goes back in the bag, and he's going to go under my zookeeper here, and I've now saved 2 species. Now the best part about that is that obviously I can now draw more cubes. Refill the deck. Now let's draw some resources. Draw 2 and see what we get. Oh, have I got enough? Yes, I have got enough for a 3rd one at this point. So, more birds. The cockatoo here needs 1 green and 3 white. Nice and easy. I'm going to save him. Pop him under there, and that is my 3rd species. So these go back in the bag. Now, I need carnivores for this keeper here. And there's a distinct lack of them. There's a couple, not so many. So I'm actually going to mess with the display. So I'm going to move that. Oh, I mustn't forget this guy. Move him there. And, oh, that's better. And I'm going to swap out this one as well. And that's kind of my 2 actions. Oh, that's much better for me, the boa. Lots of carnivores out there. I'm going to draw some resources. I draw 3 now. Oops, look at me cheating. 1, 2, 3 cubes. And I need red cubes for all these carnivores, and I'm failing to draw any. I have 5 white, which is fine for now, but if I have more than 5, I need to discard down. So play will continue in this way until a player saves 6 species. You're going to finish the round and then do final scoring. At the end of the game, you'll gain points for your saved species. So let's have a look at what we saved. We have 6 points for this cockatoo, 4 for the leopard, and 1 for the Corella. So that would be 11 points there. You then get points for completed zookeepers. So this guy was completed. He'd give me 1 point, so that'd be 12 points. Nothing for this one. However, I then get -2 points for having an animal in quarantine that I didn't save. So what have we got? 12 points minus 2. I would score a total of 10 points. The player with the most points is the winner. Now, as I said at the start of the video, that was just the quick mode. However, there is an advanced mode for this and it can get quite involved. So here we have the advanced board. So we have space for 4 zookeepers. You're trying to save 9 species rather than 6. You also get more choice of animals on the display. Well, kind of more and less, but it plays very differently. You've also got some higher level zookeepers. So there's zookeepers worth 4 and 5 points. And you also have these like mission achievement cards that will give you extra points. So the really nice thing about this is it can be played at different levels depending on who you're playing with. There is also a team mode if you're playing with kids that can't necessarily deal with stuff themselves, so you can kind of play with them. Now, the really interesting thing about this is actually the educational aspect. Each species has a card colour which actually represents how endangered the particular species are. I'm trying to find the page now. Here we go. So this actually tells you the green are the most common, I guess, going to the reds who are critically endangered. So it tells you all about the conservation status of these animals. There's also a little chart here telling you exactly what that means. So the red cards, which are critically endangered, there's 737 of those left. And I mean, this is from 2020, so it's probably even less these days. It's actually been developed in collaboration with Lisbon Zoo. So you get some codes if you want to go to Lisbon Zoo. There's some codes in here that give you a discount if you happen to be in the area, which I will be in a month's time. And a percentage of the profits go to conservation projects, which is very cool. The one other thing we've not spoken about is these QR codes on the back of the card here. So let's have a look at this. We'll scan the QR code and this will tell us all about the animal, except my connection up here is terrible. There we go. That is, oops, the lesser yellow-crested cockatoo. So say this is in collaboration with Lisbon Zoo. It's actually got loads of languages here, but it tells you all about the animal, the conservation, where it lives, size, all that sort of thing, which is amazing. And obviously it does that for each of the animals. So let's have a look at what this one is. That one is, my goodness, that is the Persian leopard. So it's actually super interesting. I really like this integration of phone with the game. I'm not necessarily a big fan of apps for games, but from a learning point of view, this is amazing. Every single animal card has got that QR code on the back. So, you know, you might think you know everything there is to know about chimpanzees, but what do you know about the great white pelican? So let's say you can scan it and find out about every single animal in the game, which is awesome. So that is Zookeepers. I'll put a link to the Cards Lab website below where you can buy it. It's very cool. Let's say I'm a big animal fan, anyone knows that. So I really like this idea of learning about the animals. I kind of wish Ark Nova had the QR codes. That would be very cool. So yeah, you can play it with your kids, or if you're playing with adults who are gamers, you can play the advanced mode and you've got a bit more meat to it. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, click like, subscribe, and all that stuff. Check out the links below. There'll be some useful links with information about this. Come and say hello on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram at iPlayRed. See ya. Bye.